everybody. So in this video, I'm just going to really quickly explain how to write your counter argument paragraph. So a counter argument and a rebuttal is where you take the time to explain how the other side disagrees with you. So again, anytime you've been in an argument with anybody or anybody's been trying to argue at you, you're not going to listen to them if they only yell their side of the argument at you. You want to hear that, like, hey, I took the time to understand. I took that time to research why you might disagree with me, but here's why I still feel this way. So you're giving a concession where you go, I understand you, but then you rebuttal and say, but this is why I'm right. So the counter is your concession where you say, this is why I might disagree with, or why you might disagree with me. Here's the research you might have done with it. I get what you're saying. The rebuttal is then you coming back and talking back, having a mini conversation in the paragraph about why you disagree. In short papers like we're writing right now, so 5-paragraph essays, anything shorter than that, your counter argument and rebuttal can be mushed into one paragraph. It's a very quick essay, so you don't really have the time to develop 2 separate paragraphs. If you're ever assigned to write a lengthier argument essay than 5 paragraphs, so if you have to write a 5-page essay for anything, then you're going to have a separate counter argument paragraph and a separate rebuttal paragraph where you pull them out in a lot more depth. So what we're doing today is that combined counter rebuttal in one paragraph. And this is going to go after your main idea paragraph that you just wrote yesterday. So like all the previous examples, I have sort of the color-coded outlines that you can use. And all of these outlines here on this example have sentence starters for you. So if you're not sure how to even start the sentence, where do I go, I gave you some options at each one. So the very first sentence in your counter argument is your topic sentence. So just like any other paragraph, your topic sentence has to transition. In this transition, you have to make it clear that you're going to explain how some people disagree with you, not that you've just randomly changed your mind. So if you've been arguing that aliens are real in the previous paragraph, and then your next paragraph you start, aliens are fake because, it just sounds like you randomly changed your mind and you had a moment, okay? You want to make it sound like you're going, I haven't changed my mind, but this is why somebody else might argue with me. So some sentence starters that you can see here that you could use for this, for your topic sentence, could be some critics argue or some scientists argue, whoever your audience is. Many believe that, blah, blah, blah. It has been argued, or opponents argue. So there's a couple different ways you can start it. You just have to make it clear that it's the counter, not that you've just changed your mind within there. And then you give your topic. So it might be, some might argue that aliens are fake because there's never been any true sightings or true evidence that we've ever had any contact with them. So you give your main idea with that counter. After your topic sentence, just like a regular main idea paragraph, you then have to give evidence. Okay? So this is where you're going to give a quote or a paraphrase that you have cited. So here's my citation with this one, of why the counter disagrees with you. So we talked about this when we took notes over the article and when we took notes over the TED Talk. We talked about, well, how could somebody disagree with this article or disagree with the TED Talk? Those are those counterpoints. So remember with the article, we talked about, well, somebody could counter that article saying they didn't include enough research because they only talked about math. They only talked about how big the universe was. They didn't talk about anything else. So your counter, you have to give the evidence for it. So you're giving that cited evidence of why somebody would disagree with you. You're still in the counter. The explanation and the concession are sort of the same thing. That's where you're going in and explaining, what does that evidence mean? So the analysis portion that we normally do with main idea paragraph, that's your green and purple here, where you explain, well, what does that evidence mean here? And then why does that evidence then prove to the other side why they think they're right? Why does this make everybody think that I'm wrong? So you're taking the time to show, hey, I get it. This is what you think. This is why you think it. This is where your ideas come from. This is that explanation section. Okay. So the first 4 sections are all the other side, why they disagree with you. You end the whole paragraph, though, in your yellow, which is your refutation or rebuttal, where you go, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I'm right. And then you explain why you're right. But you have to make sure you're talking directly. I just realized I have spelling errors in here. I'm upset. How did that happen? Why can't I type? Okay. How did I do this? Okay. where you're going back and saying, I am right now, but you have to talk directly back to what it is. So if I've been arguing that aliens are real, and then I counter and say, well, aliens aren't real. Okay, this is what they think it. And my counter evidence was that there's just not enough research done. Nobody's ever contacted, and all the people that have talked about it, well, they don't have any real evidence. So that was my counter. My rebuttal is going to come back and say something like, nevertheless, or however, even though that is a valid point, they're not considering all this research that's been done. They're not considering what happened here. I'm talking directly back to what's in there, what's in that counter. So you're having an actual conversation with the counter in this one paragraph. Okay. And again, but you're not saying I within it or anything like that. You're talking to the audience and why the audience might disagree within there. And I gave some sentence starters here as well for you to start that refutation rebuttal. So your counter rebuttal paragraph is going to be at least 5 sentences long. So if you're meeting all these fill in the blank outlines for it, it's 5 sentences. And I have an example for you right here that you can follow along with as well as you're writing. Okay. So this is the counter argument and rebuttal. So what you're submitting is the introduction, the main idea paragraph, and the counter rebuttal. So just those 3 for this assignment. If you have any questions, make sure to ask us, and have a wonderful day.